In the counseling room of the Hong Kong Police Psychological Support Unit, sitting across from the psychologist is Jackie from the Serious Crime Unit. A few days ago, he encountered a robbery on the street, engaged in a gunfight with the robber, and fatally shot the culprit. The psychological pressure of killing someone for the first time left Jackie at a loss. The psychologist advised him to take a few days off, but Jackie felt it was unnecessary. After a few curses, he turned and left. In a luxurious office building, 5 men are gathered to form a sworn brotherhood, including a boss and gang members. They pledge to become sworn brothers and are about to commit a record-breaking crime. The mastermind behind this scheme is Kent from the Police Serious Crime Unit. At this time, a wealthy businessman comes to the police station to report a case. He was kidnapped a few years ago and recently discovered that he is being frequently followed. He suspects that someone is trying to kidnap him again and requests police protection for himself and his family. The commissioner of police arranges for Jackie to provide personal protection. The next day, a large group of workers demanding unpaid wages stormed into the wealthy businessman's construction site. Known for being a stingy boss, he had tried every means to withhold wages before this farce ensued. Jackie believed that the so-called kidnapping and tracking were merely the result of the businessman's excessive suspicion. With other cases on his plate, he temporarily left the scene. In the evening, as the businessman and his wife were driving home, they once again noticed suspicious vehicles tailing them. They immediately called Jackie and asked him to come over. Just as they finished speaking, 2 cars surrounded them from both sides, immobilizing their vehicle with iron hooks before the kidnappers climbed in and seized control of the businessman and his wife. At that moment, Jackie arrived and began tailing the kidnapper's car. Kent had been monitoring from a distance and was directing the operation via phone, knowing that Jackie was following them. He ordered the kidnappers to overturn Jackie's car. With his vehicle wrecked, Jackie had no choice but to call for backup from the police station. But once the kidnappers are out of sight, it's very difficult to find them again. Jackie exerted all his strength to right his overturned car, then, back in the vehicle, he floored the accelerator down a slope, continuing to pursue the kidnapper's vehicle. 2 patrol officers arrived to provide support, but the crazed kidnappers directly rammed into one of them. Seeing the other officer about to suffer the same fate, Jackie positioned his car to block the impact, saving the officer's life while the kidnappers took advantage of the chaos to escape. The injured officer was bleeding profusely, so Jackie had to use a motorcycle to rush him to the nearby hospital. Other officers arrived intermittently to help clear the way, and they managed to arrive at the emergency room in time. Under the cover of night at a secluded pier, the kidnappers carried the businessman onto a fishing boat. His wife, suffering from a heart attack, had already fallen unconscious. In order to secure the ransom smoothly, Kent, in a flurry of activity, managed to revive her after some makeshift first aid. The next day, the Serious Crime Unit held an emergency meeting. Yesterday afternoon, the businessman was kidnapped, and the kidnappers demanded a ransom of $60 million. The kidnappers called the businessman's wife and instructed her to go to the bank the next morning to withdraw $60 million in cash. Jackie had already set up surveillance and laid a trap near the bank in advance. The next morning, as the businessman's wife was on her way to the bank, the kidnappers called again, demanding that she redirect to another bank. This caught the Serious Crime Unit off guard, and Jackie had to rush to the bank on foot with his colleagues. Just before reaching the bank, she received a third call from the kidnappers, instructing her to convert the $60 million into cashier's checks. The police traced the phone calls, all made from Taiwan, which posed a significant challenge in tracking down the suspects. As soon as the cashier's checks were obtained, the kidnappers called for the 4th time, demanding she transfer all the checks to certain accounts in Taiwan. The commissioner of police contacted the Taiwanese authorities, but they initially refused to investigate the accounts, stating that the case did not occur in Taiwan. It wasn't until the Hong Kong police claimed the funds were linked to international terrorist activities that the Taiwanese authorities agreed to cooperate with the investigation. Jackie knew that tracing the ransom across borders wouldn't yield immediate results. He rushed into the bank and found the businessman's wife, urging her to stop the transfer because once it was completed, the kidnappers would surely kill their captives. After careful consideration, she decided to halt the transfer, but $30 million had already been sent. The Taiwanese authorities quickly identified the account holders, but without an extradition agreement between Hong Kong and Taiwan, they could only send personnel to Taiwan to gather information. This task fell to Jackie and Kent. Upon landing, they were greeted by Taiwanese police, who were polite but reluctant to involve Hong Kong police in the Taiwanese investigation. Just as they learned of a lead on the kidnappers via radio, the Taiwanese police hurriedly returned them to their hotel and rushed to the scene. After the Taiwanese police left, Jackie and Kent hailed a taxi and headed to investigate. Dollar bills were continuously fed into counting machines, covering the tabletop densely. One of the 5 sworn brothers was responsible for receiving the money in Taiwan. At that moment, the Taiwanese police broke in. With the cover of his underlings, the culprit managed to escape in a desperate manner. Jackie and Kent arrived just in time, and without hesitation, they began pursuing him. Sensing danger, Kent engaged in a scuffle with Jackie when they reached a beam. Seeing the opportunity, Kent struck Jackie, then complained to the culprit about Kent's betrayal. Jackie, regaining his footing, saw Kent and the culprit arguing and approached. Suddenly, Kent attacked the culprit and pushed him off the beam, falsely claiming that the culprit slipped and fell while trying to escape. Soon, the Taiwanese police subdued Jackie and Kent, as they lacked jurisdiction in Taiwan. Eventually, with the intervention of the Hong Kong Commissioner of Police, the Taiwanese authorities agreed to release them. Reflecting on past events, Jackie began to suspect that Kent might have been involved in the kidnapping case. After returning to Hong Kong, he checked Kent's records and went to the pager station to retrieve information from Kent's pager. The manager of the pager station was affiliated with Kent and secretly deleted the messages. However, Jackie managed to see some of the contents before they were erased. They were seemingly unrelated phrases, but he continued digging. Soon, he discovered that Kent often frequented a nightclub where a hostess was employed. This woman had long been bribed by Kent, but Jackie couldn't extract any useful information from her. Then, he received information from an informant that a low-level thug abruptly resigned before the kidnapping and was now planning to flee the city. Just as he was about to board the plane, Jackie led a team to apprehend him and brought him back to the police station. The thug, accustomed to arrogance, remained defiant even in custody. Indeed, the thug was involved in the kidnapping case. At that moment, Kent appeared, pretending to interrogate the thug and injuring him. The interrogation was forcibly interrupted when the commissioner of police arrived and informed them that there was intelligence suggesting the kidnappers had recently rented a cargo ship, indicating that the businessman might be hidden on board. He demanded that Jackie and Kent immediately set out to investigate. The cargo ship floated on the open sea as a large contingent of Hong Kong police boarded it for a thorough search. Jackie discovered numerous lunch boxes, newspapers, and discarded scraps of paper, which he carefully collected in his pockets to examine later. Kent entered the cargo hold and saw the words, "Kent kidnapped the businessman," written on the ship's hull. Frantically, he tried to erase it, only to realize it was written by Jackie. Jackie confronted Kent about his actions, and Kent admitted it was for money, even attempting to bribe Jackie. During their conversation, Kent nearly slipped and fell overboard. Jackie managed to pull him up, but lost his own footing and fell. Kent, wanting to silence Jackie, but Jackie escaped just in time. Kent then picked up Jackie's gun and shot himself, trying to frame Jackie. Jackie fell to the bottom of the cargo hold but managed to open the escape hatch and return to the surface, where he was rescued by other officers. Realizing he couldn't delay any longer, Kent returned to Hong Kong and immediately found the businessman's wife playing the latest recording of the businessman's voice, demanding she pay the ransom. The businessman's wife then transferred the remaining $30 million from the bank, completing the ransom payment. Kent then disappeared completely. Jackie began examining the scraps of paper found on the ship. He discovered many receipts from convenience stores, deducing that the kidnappers might be staying near such stores. It seemed like a breakthrough. He spent the night hiding across the street from a convenience store, but found nothing. At dawn, while buying breakfast by the roadside, he overheard a few words. It turned out the neighboring breakfast shop was the same place mentioned in the pager messages. The kidnapper's hideout was upstairs, and a returning kidnapper spotted Jackie. Just as Jackie was about to inform the police, the kidnapper suddenly attacked him, and a brawl ensued. The kidnapper was no match for Jackie, but Kent arrived with his accomplices and began shooting indiscriminately. A bullet hit a gas tank, causing an explosion that ignited nearby gas pipelines. Soon, flames engulfed the building. And Jackie managed to subdue Kent. As he was about to take Kent away, he heard a child's cry. A child was trapped inside the burning building. Jackie had no choice but to release Kent and rush to rescue the child. After saving the child, Kent took advantage of the situation and fled. Jackie, carrying the child, encountered Kent trapped under rubble halfway through. He placed the child in a safe place and went to rescue Kent. Realizing that he couldn't lift several hundred pounds of debris alone, Kent knew he couldn't escape. Facing death, he expressed his last words, not wanting Jackie and the child to perish with him. He urged Jackie to leave and provided him with an address. As the fire raged on, Jackie reluctantly left Kent behind and rescued the child from the fire. The next evening, the businessman finally reunited with his wife. After experiencing this life-and-death ordeal, the couple decided to leave Hong Kong and live in obscurity.